What's happening, y'all? This tool is cool. Today we're gonna be featuring tools that keep you organized while you're building your motor. So stay tuned. Alright guys, it's been a while since I've done a This Tool is Cool, and I know a lot of you out there are starting to do your motor builds. It's kind of Christmas time. You bring your car in the garage, you park it, and you got to get organized. You got to get your tools together. Now, when you're torquing all these bolts, say it's your main studs or your head studs or even your crossover bolts, you have to stay organized. You have to know what pattern you went in, and it's really good to mark those bolts. So for this episode, just this paint marker right here will be a lifesaver when it comes down, when that motor's on the engine stand and you're building it. That along with a scribe. Now there's all kinds of different scribes. There's punches. This is just a fixed punch. It's a Stanley, made in the USA. We got this one right here. It's got an adjustable spring. You can adjust this for how much spring it has. You can actually change this tip around and you just put it on there. Pop, and you can punch it. You can put 1, 2 dots. I'm gonna go over how to do that in 1 second. If you take a look here, we have some bolts. I'm gonna go over how to mark those bolts and connecting rods. We'll go over those pistons. You can do the same thing. I don't need to get every part out that I've been accumulating just to show you that. So we'll take one of these rods right here. If you look somewhere on the box, we have the big end and the small end. So take this rod, we'll get it out of this box, be real careful. Okay, so here's the connecting rod. Take it out of the package. Right here, they have a crack right here. If it will focus, and this rod cap will be split apart. You take your cap off and you have your rod. Now right in here, a way to stay organized with any kind of engine build, you can take a scribe kind of like this one right here, and you can put a mark and scribe a line down. With this scribe, you just scribe a line, and then you know which way this cap faces when you put the motor back together. These right here, they do have part numbers on this side, so you know this side goes to this side. But say you, I know you're supposed to stay organized and keep your caps together with your rods. That is a great way to stay organized. Just in case you get in a hurry or you're not paying attention, take the time, kind of scribe it, put 2 dots here, 2 dots here for the cylinder count. So say this is number 2 cylinder, I put 2 dots here, 2 dots here. I know this side of the cap goes this direction, and I know what cylinder this rod came from. Now, another way is a paint marker. You can use a paint marker on your rods, your pistons, your bolts. I'll go over the bolts here in 1 second. You can get these from craft stores. You want to get one that will actually last. You shake it up a little and you can put 2 dots, 2 dots, and now you know that this was number 2. This side goes together and you can continue with your engine building. So that's one good way to keep this cap with this end of the big end of the rod and keep your motor build organized. That's the key. All right. If you're wondering, every set of rods, every set of pistons, all the bolts, they come with spec sheets. Don't lose those before your motor build. Some of us, I've actually had all these parts for quite a while, waiting on some more money. Okay, so that's how you stay organized when it comes to rods. You can do the same thing with your pistons. Now you can use this punch and punch in. I would maybe stay away from it. You can just do a quick punch. Don't hammer it home. Don't go for a home run. Just enough to mark it, and then you can come back in where you punched it and put in some paint, and it will be very noticeable, and you'll be able to stay really well organized. That is a good way just to keep going. Now that I've showed you the rods, I'm gonna go ahead and show you what to do with your bolts. I don't have an engine apart right now, but we're gonna just go over the process. All right, right here is my main bolts. Those, see, here's your spec sheet right here. Comes with a assembly lube, and these bolts, they're the expensive ones. Right here, these are your main studs. You're gonna bottom these out, and then you're gonna put these nuts in. What I would do is screw this in. I'll show you with the head studs, cross bolts. Okay, right here, these are your head stud bolts. Same thing, torque pattern. These head studs, same thing with these bolts. I don't really want to take one out, but I'll go ahead and take one out. Here's your washers. Okay, here's our head stud right here. This would go down in the bottom of the engine. You kind of know it's a little more than finger tight, like 6 to 8 foot-pounds. You would sink this in down into the block. This is the side with the Allen key. Then this would be sticking straight up with your head. So I'm gonna take this nut and screw it on, just like that. Now, when I go and I torque this bolt down, I don't want to use a punch for this. You use punches for your rods and your pistons. I would take this paint marker and I would mark down a paint down this and down the side of the bolt like that. Right there, as you can see, I got those the end of the bolt or the stud with the nut, and then I have a line down it. And simple, just start from the top of the stud and then go down the bolt, and you can mark it. That way, you know this bolt's torqued. So when you're done torquing it, the final torque, you put a line down it. And then if you ever take the motor apart, you will know if this is moved. Now you can see that they're not lined up, and then you can rotate them back. So when you go to, say, in between races, you take your valve covers off, whatever, if that's turned like that, you'll know that there's a problem. If it's all lined up, you'll know that you torqued it. It's torqued properly. That way you'll know that part of the engine build is done correctly. It's ready to go. Those head studs, those main studs, the crossover bolts. It's just a good way to stay organized. You know what you've torqued. You know that it's torqued to the right specification, and it's ready to go. You can move on to the next step. And later down, if you go to tear that engine apart, if you have a problem or if you're just maintaining it and you see that none of those line up, you'll know that something went wrong. There was a problem, and you can look further and investigate on why this happened. Just a great way to build that motor, build it cleanly, and maintain an organized build. This has been Life in a Mustang with This Tool Is Cool. Today I was featuring a paint marker and a scribe and or a punch. Another way just to stay organized on your way to 1,000 horsepower like me. So I hope you enjoyed. I'll post another video in a week or so. Stay tuned. I'll catch y'all later. Peace.